Okay, first up is open enrollment. We are currently in open enrollment. It ends on November 20th. So all full-time employees and part-time employees must fill this out. Even if you're not going to use our benefits, you still need to go in and decline the benefits. You should have received an email, whatever email that you have given to the benefits coordinator. You should have gotten an email in there giving you directions on how to do that. If you haven't done it or you're having difficulties doing it, you have questions, here is our contact, Tanya Carmani, her number, 231-590-7576. Give her a call if you're not able to get that completed. If you don't complete it and you want benefits, come January 1st, you won't have an option to apply for the benefits. So it's important that we all get in there and complete those. Next, you should have received an envelope for your turkey or ham certificates. All staff have gotten these, whether you're contracted staff, whatever department you're in, we all get those. Just about any supermarket will honor those, especially here in town. You can get a whole turkey, ham, fresh, frozen. There's no restrictions on what you get there. The value is $20. If you haven't received that, please reach out to your supervisor. You can reach out to myself or Allison. Usually that we have a few extra, so that if something happens and you don't have one, let us know so that you can get one of those, especially in time for Thanksgiving if you so choose to use it. Employee Assistance Fund Holiday Fundraiser, that's a mouthful. If you've been here a while, we used to call this our internal adoptive family. We've kind of renamed it. It's to assist our own employees here. So every year we have a big fundraiser at Thanksgiving time to raise money to get us through the year, so that if we have any families in need, that we're able to support them here. So if you are interested in participating in that fundraiser, they've changed it a little bit this year. If you've been down here to Tollway, you would see Mondays and Fridays they're selling tickets, and the system is a little bit different this year. You put the tickets in, they call it a tricky tray. Each item has a box, and you put the tickets in the box that you wish to bid for, and then it's a random drawing next Tuesday. You also win. You also get a ticket for a meal, and then there's some door prizes as well. So they'll have that again this Thursday, and then again on Monday. They won't be selling them the day of, so if you don't get them ahead of time, then you're out of luck. In addition to that, throughout the year, keep in mind, especially if you're out on the floor, you may hear of coworkers who are struggling. Please refer them to Live Better at Home. Live Better at Home are the individuals who manage this, along with Pastor Steve can also help. But you may hear things that we don't, and if you feel that they need help, all you have to do is give a name, and Live Better at Home will reach out to them and see how we can help, or sometimes we can just get them in touch with resources in the community to help ease their struggles. So as far as the luncheon, you can either have it in the chapel, or the One South Bistro will be serving it as well. Okay, the employee break room is getting a facelift. It'll be starting this winter, so just kind of, this is fun. There's two different options. Option one is, I'll show you this one. So this is option A. It shows better on the next one because it's actually a picture, but this is our current break room where you would come in, and this over here is the mother's room. Right now the computer's right here. This would be the break room, and we'll move the computer over there. This is a regular table, like a formal dining table, and these are high top tables here. Over around here, this will be our refrigerator still, our vending machines, that won't change. There'll be just a few lockers over here, and then these will be massage chairs. That's option A, so keep that in your mind because we're going to vote on which one you prefer. Option B is kind of the opposite. These are low top tables, and this is a high top bar, and then with a lounge couch. a little bit more casual so that you can sit and relax. And there'll still be the massage chairs, the computer, the mother's room, all that will stay the same. It's basically, the difference in the two is the furniture. So just by a quick show of hands, who would prefer option A, option B? And if I guess you didn't want to speak up, you can talk to me afterwards too. So that's going to be starting this winter, so more to come on that. And I would assume that we'll have a time that the break room will not be available to us while they're doing the construction. We'll have to find another spot to have our break room temporarily. All right, just to talk a little bit about professionalism in the workplace, this is a good reminder. We've noticed with having some newer staff and even our older staff, sometimes we forget to address our residents by their names. We've been hearing a lot of sweetie, honey, dear, grandma. Now, we do have a few that prefer that, and we just need to know so that we can care plan it, so that we all know that that is their preference. If it's not their preference, we need to address them by their name, either their first name or Mr. or Mrs. and their last name. Also, being respectful of others. This is with our staff at shift change, even while we're working. You know, there's a lot of differences in personalities here. There's a lot of different way of living. There's, you know, we're all have different out-of-work interests, but we need to remember that our common goal here is to care for our residents and to give them the best care that we can, and that is a calm work environment as well. So keep your differences aside. If there's something or someone that you just cannot handle, be professional about it at the time, and you can come and talk to your manager, myself, Allison, and maybe we can work on relocating on a different unit or something so that you're not having to deal with that person, but don't show it out on the units. Also, use of personal devices. I know cell phones are a very common thing for many different technology reasons. I mean, people even track their blood sugars on their phones. So I understand that we have to have our phones, but we cannot have them out on the unit, using them in the hallway, using them in resident rooms, checking our texts that we get. With that also, we've seen an uptick in people wearing an AirPod in their ear or an earbud of some sorts to listen to music or to talk on the phone. If you're talking on the phone with the AirPod in and you're going about your day, that is breaking HIPAA on so many different levels. So we need to make sure that when we're here, we're giving our 100% focus to the residents, not being sidetracked by earbuds, our cell phones, things of that nature. Just to touch on our COVID vaccine clinics, we're having one today. If you had signed up, Jen Walker's giving those today. Just a reminder, we have two more scheduled, Monday the 22nd, Tuesday the 30th. Mondays will be in the chapel, and Tuesdays will be again in the nursing classroom. We're offering all of the different Pfizer, Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson. You can get any dose that you need, whether you need your first one, your booster, whatever you need. Just make sure that you bring your card with you so that it can be updated. And then we can also turn those cards into human resources so we can keep that in your file. The sign-ups, we pull those at noon on Friday because we have to give the health department enough notice so that they can have those available for us to pick up on the date. As a reminder, you can always go to any, you don't have to have them here at these clinics, you can go to any local pharmacy. I mean, somebody told me that they were giving them in the McDonald's parking lot this week. So they're doing COVID clinics everywhere. If you get one off-site, just bring your card in. It doesn't have to be done here. And if you are not a CNA nurse or RT, you are free to go. Okay, just a reminder on our oxygen tubing. We have made all of our units upstairs. We've made them all uniform and changing them on Saturday nights. And that includes, I think ABU, you guys change on Saturday nights as well? Okay, yes, you do. All right. And that includes what you guys have your system and changing all your vent tubing and all of that on Saturday nights. Just a reminder that the tubing all needs to be dated. We did put orders in so that the nurse signs those off, acknowledging that they need to be changed. But the CNAs can assist with changing those. So The nurse has those orders in as a reminder and acknowledgement that it's being changed, but the CNAs can go in and prep the tubing, put the dates on them, and change them out. All right, that was all I needed for you. RTs can go. Unless you want to stay. You can stay if you want. Okay, just to touch base on our orthostatic blood pressures, the policy's been updated with the newest guidelines and recommendations. So if you're doing blood pressures, orthos, the recommendations are to have the resident lie down for 5 minutes and then take their blood pressure and pulse in a lying position. Have them go from lying straight to standing, and then you will do their blood pressure and pulse after they've been standing for 1 minute, and then again at 3 minutes. So there's no more of the lying, sitting, standing. It's lying, standing, standing. Anything that's considered a drop greater than 20, or if they're experiencing lightheadedness or dizziness, is considered abnormal, and then we would relate those back to the doctor or nurse practitioner. If they're immobile or bedbound, we don't have to do orthos on them, and if they refuse or they can't follow the directions to get them done, we need to document that in the nurse's notes that they've either declined to participate or they're not able to follow the directions that you've attempted. Something needs to go in the nurse's notes just to show that we have tried and it didn't go through. That was something that state looked at when they were here, and we did get a citation for our orthos, so I know that they look at those when they come in. So that's all I had for the CNAS, and then I just have a couple slides left for the nurses, and then we'll be all set. Okay, this is just a reminder on resident transfers when we have residents going out to the hospital. Some of this might seem a little bit simple, but it's always good for reminders. So we need to make sure that we're contacting the physician to get the order to send them out. And I know we have emergencies where we got to go now and we got to call 911, and that's when you call on your other nurses so that we can get multiple people calling at one time to get orders, and make sure that our family is contacted or the DPOA or guardian. Complete the ADT and complete that elnteract transfer form. That needs to be filled out and sent to the hospital. The surveyors do look at those when they come in, because we have to show that we are giving communication to the hospital. And just telling the surveyors that, well, we print their advance directives and their orders and we call a report, we may do those things, but there's no documentation to back that up. So we need to have that transfer form in their system so that they can see that we are communicating with the hospital when they go out. And then, like I just said, we send a copy of whatever supporting documents that we need to send for them. Make sure you put a progress note and include their bed hold. When we call the power of attorney or the family, if we can ask them if they're interested in holding the bed. I know it can be sensitive, but that really does have to be asked at the time. And that's where, if you can use your other nurses to help out and call, then you're not so rushed, because you are trying to get that person out in an emergent situation. But if somebody else can call and have that conversation with the family and then put it in the nurse's notes, then we're covered there. And of course, we need to notify the on-call manager or the DON or the administrator that we're sending somebody out, so that we're all in the loop with what's going on. When you're filling out the transfer form, this is just step by step. Under the clinical tab, you'll do your quick ADT. You put in their name and what ER you're sending them to, and once you search it, they should come up. Once the next window comes up, then you'll use the drop down and select transfer to the hospital, input the date, use the drop down and select where they're going, put in the physician, the reason that they're going, and then save. That's your quick ADT. After you do the ADT, a window will pop up and ask if you want to do that elnteract transfer form, and that's where you can create that and then fill out all the assessment boxes that are appropriate and save that. And then you print a copy and send that to the hospital with all the other supporting paperwork. Bed holds, excuse me, they do have an option to pay to keep their bed here. Insurance won't pay for both places, so when they go to the hospital, that's where the insurance is going to pay for them to stay. So they can choose to pay for their bed while they're here, or they can, just because they don't pay for their bed doesn't mean we won't take them back. It just means that they'll come back to an available bed. There may be a reason we have to move their room, and they would come back to a different available bed. There has been families that have asked, doesn't Medicaid cover my bed? Medicare does not pay at all. Medicaid, there are certain circumstances that they will pay if our census is high enough. We have to be at 98% capacity or occupancy for Medicaid to cover their bed hold, which we're not there at this time. But like in the ABU, sometimes their census is completely different, and sometimes they are at 98% occupancy, and then Medicaid will pick up that bed hold. And then Allison's created a bed hold cheat sheet, which will tell if it'll be covered, if it won't. We talked about this, inquiring about the bed hold, and if they've accepted, declined, you can put on the bed hold notice, you can put a verbal, and 2 nurses can sign for the acceptance or the decline. And make sure you put it in the progress note. Just a little bit of other business assessments. When you're doing your assessments, at the beginning of your shift, you should be checking your UDA board. If you have assessments that are due that day, you need to open them through the UDA board so that they'll clear off. If you have a skin assessment due for Sally and you go in through the assessments tab, you do your assessment, but you don't link it to that UDA board, it's not gonna clear off. And so then at the end of the shift, you're gonna show that you have past due assessments. Make sure when you're doing your assessments that they're completed and locked and signed. We have so many assessments that are done, but they don't go through and complete, save, and lock them. Checklist. Allison and Carrie have worked to create a new checklist, a folder for transfers. So if you have somebody that needs to transfer out to the hospital, the bed hold form, the cheat sheet, they'll have all that stuff right in a folder, so you don't have to go around and try to hunt and find it. You can just grab that folder and everything's right there that you need. It's dry with this mask on. The Cold Fest pans on our med carts, we have ordered a bunch more of those so that we can get one to switch out into the freezer. We're supposed to switch those out every 8 hours. It's my understanding we don't have enough to do that right now, so we'll continue to make sure our ice is not melted until we can get those other pans, and then we'll switch them out every 8 hours as we're supposed to. Also, the puddings, applesauce, the med pass, those all have to be dated when we open those, with the date we opened them and the expiration date, and those are only good for 3 days. So make sure that when you open those that you throw a date on them. And make sure you signed in. That's all I have. Any questions? Yes, Miss Viscoso. That is a great question that we can check and see if it will do that behind the scenes, if it's something that we can do. That is definitely something we can, because I know when we do like our skilled assessments, all of those populate into the progress notes. Yeah, it wouldn't be duplicate, then it would auto push over. So I can, we can reach out to PCC and see if that's something that we can do. That is a great idea. Anything else? All right, short and sweet. That's all I got. Have a great day.